Okay, so RVOs, there was a question which I wanted to ask Tushar, for instance, which is not related to this. Tushar, as a merchant banker,
Yeah, tell me,
how
sir.
much time do you take to issue a report?
Around a week to 15 days.
Week to 15 days.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask, who has been issuing valuation reports as chartered accountant? Surya Narayana, or have you been issuing, or should I ask Mohan Raj?
Sir, it
Kapur?
depends on the information available from the client.
Right. But how much time do you take to prepare a report?
It's almost a week. Within a week, it should be done. There should not be a problem if all the informations are available readily.
Right. So, Jigar, for instance, let me ask you, how much time do you take for the report?
Normally we take a week, so.
About a week, right? Okay. Yeah. So, see, for instance, suppose I do financial model building. It takes us close to around a month to 2 months to build a financial model. But this is basically a model which stands the test of time. However, valuation reports, they take, of course, much less time.
Sir, 1 second.
Yeah.
Is it the responsibility of the valuer to prepare a financial model for the valuation?
Yeah, it's good that you raised that point. That's why I raised it here to see if
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
would
So,
question.
yeah.
Okay,
Because
so
it is a huge task then.
yeah, so it's not the job of the valuer to prepare the financial model.
Yeah.
That's the job of the company to prepare.
Yeah.
And all of us agree with that, right?
Exactly,
Most
sir.
people who have done the valuations know that it's the job of the company to do that.
Yeah, but
Right?
we have to validate the assumptions, underlying assumptions, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get into that over the course of this course.
Correctly, sir. In fact, that was the reason that we said it takes a week or so, because we take a week time to at least validate the model,
Yeah,
not
that's
prepare
true.
the model.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
So, but valuation can be done only after passing the exam, right?
Yeah. So let me see. Somebody was wanting to say something. Hold on.
Hello?
Tushar.
Yes, sir. Rahul here.
At 6:20, and then these lentils 1, 2, 3.
Hello?
Rahul, just hold on. Somebody else
Yeah.
is trying to speak. I'm not able to make out.
Buttons, whatever you have at home, that can be.
I think they are teaching their kids probably.
Okay. That's in. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Rahul, carry on.
Sir. Now.
Carry on, Rahul.
Yeah, so valuation is done after passing this exam, right? How chartered accountants do valuation without having this degree, having this course
Under
certificate?
FEMA? Under FEMA, people, chartered accountants can issue valuation reports if they've got 10 years of experience. Okay. So
under FEMA and SEBI.
Under SEBI, yeah. So we'll come to that in a bit because I'll cover that also.
Under income tax also.
Yeah.
Rule 11 U and UA is now with merchant banker.
Yeah. So that also will come to in a bit. Because 11 UA, maybe you are still saying that you're wanting to do it on a net asset value basis, etc.
Yeah, but that is now with merchant banker, but provided when there is just plain valuation of transfer of share, that can be done by SC.
Yeah, correct. So you're talking of 56 to 10.
Correct, sir.
Okay. We'll come to that in a bit. So Dwarkanath, I think Dwarkanath is giving us a lot of information. We'll have to get him onto the to speak to us in a little bit of time. CAs are prohibited on financial modeling and can give valuation reports. Okay, right. Let's move on. Now, RVO is the governance structure. A company registered under Companies Act 2013 with share capital, sole object to carry on the functions of an RVO under CA. It is not under the control of non-residents. Not more than 49% is held directly or indirectly by non-residents. It is not a subsidiary of a body corporate through more than one layer. Okay, so can anybody tell me what is the Institute of Company Secretaries of India? What type of an organization is it? Any company secretaries on board here?
It's a non-profit.
Okay, but it's the nature of the institution. Is it a company? Is it a society, a trust? What is the nature of the organization?
It is Section 25 company.
Section 25, maybe? Or is it Act of Parliament?
Section
Body
25.
corporate.
Act
Probably
of Parliament.
Act of Parliament. Okay.
All the three institutes, yeah.
All three institutes are under Act of Parliament. Okay. Right. So this, I think Ganesh also said that. Ganesh, are you a chartered accountant or a company secretary?
I am both.
Okay, you're both. Okay, so now therefore when we look at this, Ganesh, you answer this. It is not a subsidiary of a body corporate through more than one layer. What does this mean? ICSI RVO. It can be a subsidiary of ICSI, correct?
Yeah, it can be a subsidiary of ICSI, but it
And
has
that's
to
one
be
layer.
one
Okay.
layer. Yeah,
That's one layer.
one
Now,
layer.
ICSI RVO in turn cannot set up a separate valuation RVO. Okay, that's basically the point here. Just one layer. Okay, so
That's
itself,
correct.
its promoters, directors, and persons holding more than 10% of its share capital are fit and proper persons. This fit and proper person is a very dangerous thing. We have to keep that in mind. Professional institutes are exempted from this requirement as per ICA RVO. Okay, now bylaws. See, in these bylaws, I think some of the other faculty will also be covering it. So we'll go through this a little bit faster. Objective is to carry out the functions of an RVO under Companies Act 2013. It shall maintain ethical and professional standards and regulation of its members, develop the profession of valuers, promote continuous professional development. So this is the role of an RVO. Committees, it may form an advisory committee of members of the organization to advise on matters related to development of profession, standards of conduct, best practices. Other committees are the membership committee, monitoring committee, grievance redressal committee, disciplinary committee. So let me ask somebody, which is the committee which is going to appoint, which is going to allow you in as a valuer, is going to accept you as a valuer?
So it will be membership committee.
Membership committee.
Okay, that's fine. Now, which is the committee which is going to accept grievances from members of the public who have a problem with you?
Disciplinary.
Disciplinary committee. And suppose you are going to be evicted from the organization which is going to do that is your disciplinary committee. Right. And the monitoring committee, you have to give them reports, like merchant bankers do have to give quarterly reports. Similarly, we have to give half-yearly reports to the institution. Ananda Krishna, redressal, what's the, okay, you were just giving me an answer online. Thank you for that. A chairperson of each committee shall be an independent director of the RVO. Duties of members. In performance of duties, a member shall act in good faith, discharges functions with integrity and objectivity. Now, one thing which all of you need to keep in mind is that the two words which go together, like rights and duties are two sides of the same coin. Like that, there is a phrase which we have in law. Like that, integrity and objectivity are two words which always go together. So when you have an example, a question in the exam, which has integrity and the second is left blank, you just have to straight put in objectivity. So be impartial, independent and impartial, discharge his functions with higher standards of professional competence, professional ethics, continuously upgrade his professional expertise, comply with applicable laws, maintain confidentiality. Monitoring of members. A member shall submit information about ongoing and concluded engagements as a registered valuer at least twice a year. So we send out reports once in as of 30th September and as of 31st March. The monitoring committee shall review the information in accordance with the monitoring policy. Okay, so we'll move on if there are no questions here. Grievance redressal. RVO shall have a procedure to receive, process, redress, and disclose grievances against the RVO and members raised by any member, any client of a member. It shall dismiss the grievance or initiate mediation, and it can initiate disciplinary proceedings through raising show cause, certain facts, dispose of the show cause by reasoned order. Okay, this is what the RVO does. But what you will realize if you see case law is that ICSI RVO, for instance, when it came up with a certain punishment for a valuer by way of disciplinary, through the disciplinary committee, IBBI actually enhanced that. Okay, so this is a problem which you are going to face. The RVO may decide something, or the RVO can decide that, okay, we will not penalize this valuer. But then in turn, IBBI can still come in and say that, no, what you did was wrong. Okay, please keep that in mind. An RVO may apply for recognition in Form D to IBBI for the asset class of classes, along with application fee of 1 lakh rupees, as before 21 days for explanations, 45 days of rejected, 15 days for further information, decision within 30 days. See, this timeline is something which you will just keep in mind. And if IBBI is satisfied, it may grant a certificate of recognition in Form E. Now, the conduct of valuations. I hope people are not thinking that I'm in the last class. Somebody said that some of these slides I was going through at lightning speed. I hope you think that it's okay for me to go fast on these. right? Is that okay? I mean, am I going too fast on this?
Yes, sir.
It's okay. It's okay.
We might need to kind of slow down a bit, sir.
Yes, sir. We can skip through.
Okay, right. Okay, so conduct of valuations is under Rule 8. The RV shall comply with valuation standards notified under Rule 18. Till the standards are notified, the RV shall make valuations as per internationally accepted valuation standards or valuation standards adopted by any RVO. See, under the new valuation bill, which let me reiterate once again, you don't need to know right now till it has been passed. But under the new valuation bill, there is a valuation standards council which is proposed to be created under the new bill, and that will create the valuation standards. Okay. So, but presently,
as per presently, ICI has issued the valuation standards. Would it be applicable for us to issue the report?
Yes. So,
or any other set of standards has been adopted by the IIV?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Ashish. So, first and foremost, ICAI RVO, the moment the valuation, this particular section was introduced, it came up with valuation standards. Now, if you look at the valuation standards of ICAI RVO, they are largely in line with international valuation standards. However, they did not go to international valuation standards and take their, there is a certain IP involved there, and they did not take a membership or they did not pay a royalty to the IVSE, and therefore they just developed their standards independently. What ICAI RVO did subsequently is also to make it compulsory for every chartered accountant to adopt these standards in their valuation reports. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. However, when you look at what is outlined,
my question is different. Which set of standards is adopted by the IIV?
So IIV RVO has not adopted any specific standard. So most RVOs follow either internationally accepted valuation standards or valuation standards adopted by any RVO. Okay. So your question is, suppose I become a member of IIV RVO, do I have to follow international valuation standards or do I need to follow valuation standards adopted by ICAI RVO? Would that be a question?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ashish, you can follow the standards which are adopted by ICAI RVO because the act says that, the rules say that you can follow the standards adopted by any RVO. Okay. That's basically the point.
Being a chartered accountant, I have to compulsorily follow the ICAI standards. No?
Correct. You have to follow them because that's been outlined by ICAI RVO.
Is there any difference between the international accepted valuation standards and ICAI valuation standards?
Yes, there are differences. And let me just point out one primary difference. The others I will set aside, but this one primary difference is that under Indian valuation standards, which we will be covering shortly, it basically says that as far as valuation is concerned, you can do valuation using three approaches. Income approach, you can follow multiple approaches, and then you can assign a weightage to each approach and arrive at a value. Okay, whereas under international valuation standards, what it says is that you find out the approach which is best suited to do the valuation. You exclude other approaches and you choose the best approach and use that for the purpose of valuation. That's the basic and most important difference according to me. Okay.
Is there any difference between the standards issued by the ICAI and any other RVO which is adopted that different other than these standards?
See, there are no standards issued by the other RVOs as of now, which
like
has been
ICSI.
No, none of them have issued financial. None of them have issued as of now. Okay, as of now. Okay, so whether we have to specify the reasons for selection of valuation method, we'll come to that later on. Okay. If the RV relies on other registered valuer for inputs or get a valuation report from another RV, he shall disclose particulars, but liabilities against the resultant valuation are still with the first registered valuer. So if I am a securities and financial assets valuer, I'm valuing a company to arrive at the valuation of that company. That company has land and building and it has plant and machinery. I need to get valuation reports from the land and building valuer and from the plant and machinery valuer. So I'll do that. But however, when I issue the valuation report, I'm liable for the full report, including the valuation reports which I've relied upon. This is the sum and substance of what this means. The valuation report shall state background, purpose, appointing authority, identity of valuer, disclosure of valuer interest, date of appointment, valuation date, date of report, inspections undertaken, information used, procedures adopted, restrictions on use, major factors considered, conclusions, caveats, limitations, without limiting his responsibility for the report. So we will be covering this a little bit more in the valuation standards when we go through them. Just keep in mind that you cannot limit your responsibility for the report. You can bring in limitations, you can bring in disclaimers, but you cannot limit your responsibility for the report, is the point here.
I got a few questions. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as of now, IIV has not come out with any standards. So now we are free to use any other RVOs standards. Once IIV comes with valuation standards, we have to follow only IIV RVO standards, or still we are liberty to use anybody's standards?
So I think that, okay, now let me put this in a different context. There is a valuation bill which has been just recently published for comments by valuers. Okay, and Dwarkanath is also saying that only ICAI has standards. But basically the point here, Anand Krishna, is like this. Now, under this valuers bill, there is a valuation standards committee which is being formed, which will come out with valuation standards, which will then be used across the board by valuers in India. Okay.
Okay.
That is the situation in future. As of today, what is the position? As of today, any valuer in India can use either international valuation standards or valuation standards adopted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Okay, these are the two valuation standards which they can use. If when I do my reports, I use Indian valuation standards as a basis for my issue of reports. Now, there are some chartered accountants, however, who use international valuation standards. Okay,
Yeah.
In spite of the institute giving a guideline saying that you should, these are compulsory, you should use Indian valuation standards, chartered accountants do use international valuation standards. Okay, you have to keep this in mind, which according to me is not the right approach, because it is mandatory for us to use ICAI RVO
Indian.
standards. Okay. Now, let us, what happens in case IIV RVO comes up and says that we are creating a fresh set of standards? It's unlikely. Okay, because when you look at the, how will IIV RVO come out with the development of standards? It will take views from its members. If members say that let's follow the standards which are adopted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, will IIV RVO really turn down the views of valuers? I don't think so. Okay, that's something which you have to keep in mind.
So presently we can go with ICAI standards only in India.
Yeah, you can follow ICAI's standards as of today. Okay.
Thank you.
So I think the framework which we are adopting should be disclosed in the report. If we are taking the any company which is the subsidiary of a foreign company, or using the IFRS, so similarities here. When we issue the report under the IFRS, we mention that this financial statement is prepared.
You're absolutely right,
IFRS.
Ashish. You're absolutely right, Ashish, because we have to mention which is the valuation standards which we are following in our report. So I mentioned in a report, in my reports, that I'm following the Indian valuation standards adopted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Okay. Okay. So now we have, let us say, Amit Arora, who is, so far we have not asked Amit any question.
Yes,
so,
please.
let me ask Amit, if an RV contravenes any provision of the Act or rules, he shall be punishable with a fine of how much?
25,000, but will not extend to 1 lakh.
Okay, you've got the answer right. Okay, so that's right. Let me ask Akila. Akila, are you on? Let me ask Akila this question. If an RV becomes interested in any property, stock, etc. of a company, he may be appointed as an RV after a cooling off period of. Akila, you're on?
Yeah, it'll be 3 years.
Okay, 3 years. Akila, are you a company secretary or a chartered accountant or a
I'm a
cost
chartered
accountant?
accountant.
Okay, right. Now here, let me ask this question. The certificate of registration shall be valid for a period of Harshad Devgaonkar. Harshad, you have an answer? Harshad, what do you think is the answer? Okay, so Harshad doesn't have an answer, or we're not able to hear. So let me just say that this is something which I took from the IBBI website, and the certificate of registration shall be valued for a period of 3 years from the date of issue. And let me point out once again that whatever we covered in the syllabus so far, it did not cover this question, right? And none of you saw this coming up in the material, so it is not like I was testing you on something which we had told you about. The point which I'm making here is that when you go and write the exam, you'll find a lot of questions out of syllabus, okay? And you will not have an answer to it. So you need to be able to keep in mind that you need to read slightly beyond this, what we are teaching you. Now, who is the authority for registration of valuers? Let me ask this question of Dwarkanath knows the answer to everything, I think. So let me ask Dwarkanath. Oh, Dwarkanath has already given us the answer. He says IBBI. Right, Dwarkanath?
Yes, sir.
So Dwarkanath, what are you? Are you a chartered accountant plus CS plus?
I'm a CA plus CS and a CFA, but basically CA.
Okay, you're practicing as a CA.
No, I'm a retired
Okay.
service executive.
Okay, so I think that you're a little bit more knowledgeable than most of us. So it's good to hear all those answers from you. Thank you for that, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so with this, we have covered